can do like the fun little brand
Look at
30-second
that.
countdown
We
people
are.
love.
I don't even know how to do that. We're just going. We're just going live.
I would click it, but it would
well,
literally force us to watch the whole 30-second thing. So
yeah, that sounds pretty
I'm not going to do
terrible.
that. I still want to make a video, and I know I can do it. I just have been way too lazy, and we need to like we have some clips now. I was going to say we didn't have clips, now we do have clips. So
That
I
is
could
true.
actually like take some of the clips you grabbed.
Yeah, no, that's certainly something that we could do, but we haven't done it. So hello everyone. 14 games in the NHL. I don't know where to start. So DJ, how you doing?
Good, yeah. Last night went I guess according to plan, as you could expect. 4-leg parlay, 4 games. It all hits. The major, correlated point prop parlay didn't get there. We knew early on, but it would have been super tilting to have almost everything go right and then Kyrou not get there. But actually, Rantanen didn't get 2 points anyways. So those seem, maybe they just seem easier than they are. And I had some really early success, and maybe I'm just like overconfident in some of those crazy parlays. But we'll get into that as well when we do the kind of game by game breakdown. So how was your night last night? We only have a couple nights, and Thursday, I guess.
Yeah,
Thursday
I mean
was
Thursday was
decent-ish.
bad.
I cashed.
Thursday was good for you. Yeah, Thursday was very bad. The pod was bad. Everything was bad.
This is
But our Tuesday
wrong.
pod. What are you talking about?
What was my top stack of the night?
I have no fucking idea, DJ. But
New York Islanders
Tuesday
won.
night. Okay, great. Congratulations. The team fucking lost, but okay.
Who cares? They won the slate. Right, they had to have won the slate.
I don't think
that's
they did.
loser. That's loser behavior on your part to care about who won the game.
I literally do not think, but I don't know. Who cares? The idea though was that everything from Tuesday hit on Thursday. So just if you listen to Tuesday's pod on accident, you won. Sean Monahan night was very fun. But yeah, and then Friday, Packer backer, our boy. Well, I mean, he's technically in the MSP Discord, but he's the Occupy Fantasy guy. He won first and second in the 4-4-4. So I
saw that.
I finished in the last cashing spot, so I don't know who had a better night. Just sometimes you just gotta dust off the old min cash, and that's what you're happy with. So last night was fine, but yeah, I want to get through these games because we have 14 of them. I want to do my $1 million parlay, and let's get into things. So I can pull up the slate from basically from start to finish, as we are typically sharing like on the podcast. By the way, if you aren't following the One Escape podcast just like via YouTube, those are also on DJ's YouTube channel, where we'll try to do those in concert whenever we go live. But you can see the slate here. I broke it out by slate start time, so just for the record, we have Dallas, Washington, Boston, Philly. Boston, Philly's the first game off at 12:30. So when making your slips, just make sure that you're in before 12:30. Then in the afternoon window, we have Edmonton, Nashville, and Buffalo, San Jose. Buffalo, San Jose, maybe the saddest hockey game of all time. And then on the 7 p.m. slate, we have 10 games. Let's see, I can just go through Arizona, Carolina, Rangers at Ottawa, Montreal, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Tampa, Toronto, Winnipeg, Florida Islanders, Vegas, Detroit, Anaheim, Minnesota, Chicago, Calgary, and Columbus, Vancouver. So a lot of action, only 4 teams not in play today. I cannot name them off the top of my head. So let's just get into it. Anything you want to cover before we get into Boston, Philly?
No, I'll just get us going. Puckluck.com has this as a minus 136 and a plus 136. And I went over to DraftKings Sportsbook, and it is a plus 136 on Philly. So if you want to pay vig, you can go right ahead. Philly is priced exactly correctly per what we have at puckluck.com. So I'm definitely not touching the money line. The 6 over under, we have it at 5.4. I tend to agree. Like I like the under, if anything, at minus 120, but I'm not to the moon and back. Like I just don't really want to do that as like my favorite bet in this game. I think there's other ways you could attack it. And as you kind of show, it's not supposed to be incredibly exciting, but I do kind of think I'm honestly considering going to something I almost never do and going to David Pastrnak over 4.5 shots on goal at plus money. Just feels like the matchup they're really, really going overboard as far as like he's been 5.5 lately. He's been, minus 150, 160 at 4.5. Getting that plus money here, I mean, it's a lot, but with the line they have going now, I mean, it does actually make sense to me to bet that. So, what were you going to say?
I do like that. The Pasternak stuff. We've seen Coyle, JVR, and well, obviously the big three on the power play, but Coyle and JVR recently. So I think Coyle's interesting. I mean, he should be on that top line as well. He's 1.5 minus 150 for shots, and he's not necessarily the best player, but 4 attempts a game over the last 10 in that premium role. I think that's perfectly fine as well. If you just if you can't really stomach betting on 5 shots from a dude, just apologies in advance. I'm scrolling around with a ton of games. I will have everything up on like one screen though, so just bear with me as I go back and forth and whatnot. I'll try to be zoomed in enough so you can see basically what I'm referencing. But just otherwise, some other things to note in this game from sort of the player level. Joel Farabee has been awesome this season, which I hate. I mean, I think he just is not like that good, but that's a preconceived that's a bias I have from years past. I want to say there's some like crazy stat going around where he's like third in the NHL in 5-on-5 points. So just one of those things where you look at his point prop and it just doesn't really make sense. I don't really think you're gunning for like the power play anyway on Philly. So like their power play is a mess. But Farabee at 5-on-5 has been productive. So I can't really shame that play too much either if you want to go there. So I guess as far as longer shots, I like JVR. He is plus 425 for a power play point. Coyle's on that unit, but he's just less involved. So like I think JVR is actually a bit more likely to be the net front grinder or whatever, just to touch the puck. Jamie Drysdale, if you really want to get crazy, plus 650. He was with Cam York and the Konechny Couturier power play unit last game, but they lost 3-0. So who the hell knows if you can trust that. So anything else you want to say?
I was just gonna say, like, it does feel like if you look at that first power play, when Pastrnak isn't shooting, you can kind of almost think like Prime Ovi passing out off to the wide open guy and think like that could be where JVR ends up standing. So I definitely really like that idea. Other things to consider if you don't like the shots for Pastrnak, because of course, Philadelphia blocks a lot of shots and it could be frustrating. Would you prefer Coyle at minus 135 for a point or McAvoy at minus 105 for a point? I was kind of thinking about that McAvoy point. That doesn't really feel like an even money situation to me, but I'm going to pull up
I prefer McAvoy there for sure. On the power play, he's as involved as JVR. Like, a Coyle when he's on the power play just does not get points. That's based on like the points percentage of goals scored when he's out there. And so like he's a non-factor. That McAvoy number is fine. That makes sense to me as well. I don't really want to bet on this game having too many goals, though. That's the main problem. Like I think the under's in play more so than the over, so I prefer the shots personally.
Mike's here. He wants to change our bias on Coyle. I mean, I would actually say I feel like I've never been. I'm only negative against Zaka. Like I just think he is a total dust ball. But like, and I think it's because I actually believed in him.
I literally said my favorite bet was Coyle over 1.5 shots. Like, what do you want me to do, Mike? I don't understand.
No, I have a debate here because I really feel like I'm going to end up on McAvoy for point. I don't know if I've ever like confidently gone out there on a 5 shot on goal prop, but like Pastrnak does feel
fucking Mike
interesting.
Oh,
all right,
God.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I had that. So yeah, just if you wanted a couple of raw numbers,
I don't even know if you should.
Pastrnak 9 attempts per game over the last 5, while Coyle is somewhere. I'm sure he's got to be here 3. The only other player I was actually thinking about was Atkinson, but minus 145 on the 2.5 just feels a little bit unnecessary. I was really hoping to
Yep,
get him at a better price than that, but he's been shooting a ton. And we just
yeah,
don't know on Tippett yet, right? I tried to
he's
check
out.
that this morning.
He's out.
He's out for sure. Okay. Okay.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So no
We
Tippett.
can, yeah.
Just keep going. Two.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's what's next? All right. Dallas at Water. Yeah, Dallas at Washington. Well, no, Washington at Dallas. There we go. My home and road is disorganized. All right. So yeah, Dallas clearly in a pretty good spot. Washington absolutely got the piss kicked out of them by Colorado earlier this week. So Dallas, we know where their production should come from. Wyatt Johnston remains on the top line. Thomas Harley and Miro Heiskanen are a pairing. God, I just hope that lasts forever because that is some of the most fun that I think you can ever have playing daily fantasy sports. Just watching Thomas Harley in your lineup, jet up the ice in overtime and scoring a goal. I think he's had like 4 OT winners this season, and I've had him in my lineup for 0 of them. So, DJ, what is sort of your lead in this game?
I mean, as far as props are concerned, or actually, let's go the same format. I kind of like this idea of going to the game projection, pulling up what puck luck has, and then going from there. So this is a minus 149 on puck luck for Dallas, which of course means it's a plus 149 on the other side. We don't include a VIG in the model because that's not how percentages work. So if you're wondering why they're not looking anything like the sports book, so that would lead me to considering the Capitals. I mean, I think 195 is honestly a good price here. Like, just considering the larger scope of things, that this Capitals team is not as bad as maybe that number meets. But there's other ways to bet that. And if you don't feel like you need to put a plus 200, especially in a parlay, like that's definitely a one-off type of situation. I totally understand that. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think if I'm looking at player props, safety, Jason Robertson at 2.5 feels really, really good. I mean, we talk about Wyatt Johnson, and I think his price is totally fine. I know he burned a lot of people last slate, including myself. He didn't get a point. He only had 2 shots on goal, but he was incredibly involved. And that line just really is what drives this team. And if you think they're going to be successful, or even if, again, you think it should be closer, like our models indicating, that doesn't mean anything negative for guys shooting the puck on the Dallas side. So while, if you watch the end of that game and it was like, okay, this has got to be Johnston and Robertson coming over the boards. I think they started Pavelski Hintz. And then you just see, Harley shooting down the ice. I understand maybe being like, well, what's Harley looking like these days? Because I could go his way as well. But Miro did have 7 attempts in his first game back. Robertson had 6.4. Harley, still rocking a 6 in his last 5. All these over the last 5, of course. Miro only had 1 game in that last 5 mix. So I could look to a number of these things, but I'm kind of putting everything on that vacuum at this point in this game, no matter what. Because even if Washington wins, I don't really know how much I want to be betting on any individual player over there and feeling comfortable.
Yeah. So yeah, it's sort of strange, the Dallas distribution. Like, really nobody's shooting a ton. Like, obviously you mentioned Miro just has 1 game in the sample. This is over the last 10, so you're quoting numbers slightly different. But yeah, the shots are a little bit concerning. Also interesting is when we go over to this list, which is just guys in the early window. So I'll switch over to the main slate when we get there. Like, Wyatt Johnston is toward the top. Only Joe Pavelski is ahead of him. And then obviously Oshie and Ovi as well on the Washington side. But you have to go down a bit to find Jason Robertson, which is pretty surprising. And Rupe Hintz is nowhere to be found. So it's one of those situations where I wish we had like a Harley point prop, but we don't. So
Yeah,
I think you could get away with Miro Heiskanen and stuff. You could take Wyatt Johnston 2.5 shots. That's plus 110. I like that. I think I'll go that way. But I honestly don't hate the idea of like a Johnston goal or something else. What do you got?
Like, I was going to say, just sort of thinking about this in another sense of like, what would you want Harley point prop at? Right, first power play, first pairing, all the minutes.
Well, he's not going to be first power play.
Miro's oh yeah, he wasn't first power play, you're right. But Miro's minus 125 for a point, and I just feel like, I mean, I know he's only been back for 1 game, but as I just indicated, he was back. It wasn't like he was, 80% of the way there. He was, I mean, like a huge driver of that offense when he was on the ice. And Harley, in my opinion, only boosts his likelihood I mean, the goal he scored was Harley being Thomas Harley and then passing it back to Miro, who was just, okay, I guess I'll score. So, I mean, that pairing was out there for all of their goals at 5-on-5.
Yeah,
That
they're
makes
pretty
me
good, huh?
think that could be correlated to success. So I still think Miro Point could be my favorite in this game. And again, 2.5 on Robertson is in my opinion, still pretty safe. But it's, as you're kind of indicating, really like how safe is it? Is it minus 180 safe? You're probably getting a bad number there. But that I'm maybe I'm a bit biased from the last game where he just was shooting the lights out of the puck, and I'm just thinking like, well, that'll continue. And I think I'll go Miro Point. That's probably a good way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna lean toward a Johnston goal. He's just been so good, and I really do trust Hintz and Robertson. But in a way that, like, it's almost, I don't know. It just does not feel correct that Wyatt Johnson is plus 230 against the freaking Capitals. So if I know, DJ, you're in a state where you can literally do Johnston shots and goal or whatever you want. Like, you can have some more
Yeah.
fun with it. But yeah, I also don't mind Ovi. Like, I mean, he's still doing things. Like, I mean, he's not just
Yeah.
going into nothing. But like, I understand that expected fantasy
I
points
mean,
do not equal real output. So it's just one of those things where, I feel like
I
this is
just
the
think I
sort of
prefer
spot where
John
you can buy
Carlson for
money.
like, yeah. I mean, like John Carlson to me is
What is
kind of getting
what's
forgotten
the dude
about,
doing?
especially in the betting market where he's shooting, he's blocking shots. His block shot is 1.5 minus 160. I also love that. Like Dallas will shoot and he'll be out there a ton. So again, if I'm going Washington, I'm betting
Okay,
through him. Just
that's
he's been
fine.
super involved. But I think the block shots is probably my favorite on that side. But I don't know. I think I like the Miro Point even more. I feel like I've convinced myself off a 1 game sample size enough. But really, more than just that is he was not minus 125 before the injury. This is, you're getting the best price we've seen on him in a long time, but it's because of the injury. He just wasn't there. So the books just sort of throw their hands in the air and say whatever. I really like it. We can move on though. Is it, yeah, Nashville and Edmonton, or is there anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Nashville, Edmonton. God, I mean, what is there to say? So for the Oilers, we got confirmation that Corey Perry will make his debut on a line with Holloway and Ryan McLeod. Um, you know, I don't know. I don't really think that matters, but I've always liked
No.
Dylan Holloway as a prospect, and obviously I like Ryan McLeod. So I don't know. I've been toying with the idea of playing the Edmonton first line with the Edmonton third line, like in like the 2 game DFS slate. I don't know if there's anything betting wise to do with the Perry sort of news though. Like, obviously this team just runs through their big guys and they're all together. So that's that. On the Nashville front, I am sort of checking for Tyson Berry. I mean, this is clearly a narrative spot where he could fold in back into the lineup. Um, and with that would come the second power play time that Ryan McDonough currently has. So those are the things I'm watching for. It's really hard to bet based off of any of those things though. So what do you have from this game?
Yeah, well, the puckluck.com model has it at minus 240 for the Oilers, which is a very slight edge. Nothing to get crazy about 225, but it does lean that way, which I, hard to argue with. I mean, at this point, they're going for what, 15 or 16 straight. I think it's 16 or is it, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
One of those two, and they're at home. I just don't know how I look away from that top line. And Leon is plus 145 for 2 points. I would never do it without McDavid on his side, but I might just go back to the well. Hyman minus 195 for just 1 point. I mean, I get it. He only had the one. It was a goal, whatever. I'm definitely going over to underdog and looking if they have him for 2. I think they will. I think it'll be, 1.75 or whatever X. And I'm going to go that way as well because Connor McDavid is a generational talent. I mean, again, like beyond the realm of anyone. I mean, he's so much better, I feel like, than everyone else in the league that it just doesn't even get like quantified into some of these betting markets. But I don't understand why. Okay, I understand why it's not the same odds as Chicago because Chicago is a worse team, but Nashville is a very fun team, and I think there's a lot of goals to be had here in general. So I think they can keep it more competitive. I think they can keep McDavid on the ice even more often. They'll take penalties. They'll, like I really don't think that there's a massive difference as they're indicating where, Leon was like plus 120 for 2 points. They had 25 points for this matchup in a higher tempo, higher, goal environment game. To me, that doesn't quite add up. I think I like the price just as much. So I'm going to go right back to it. Like, why would I get off of it? For reasons that I did, like, I think the book is wrong for. So is there one of those that you like the most as far as points are concerned?
I think it's got to be.
I mean, McDavid minus 110, by the way.
Yeah. I think it's got to be
totally
McDavid. So
yeah.
Because like I honestly understand the Zach Hyman minus 195 thing too, because I mean Draisaitl is definitely a player who overpasses. So like at 5-on-5, it's not like you're taking a ton of shots from Nugent Hopkins and giving him the Draisaitl. Like it's pretty much the same role for Hyman, but with better passers around him. So I think Hyman at minus 195 for just 1 point. I think that is maybe the best value. But of course, betting on McDavid never goes out of style. I'm a little hesitant to bet on anything to do with Draisaitl, other than you want to say he scores a goal, fine. Like if that's perfectly fine. But he's been phased out of the power play too, which makes sense when Hyman is doing so well that like they're going to pass the puck to the guy who's wide open right next to the goalie because teams are selling out to stop the Zamboni door shot from Draisaitl. Like it's just one of those.
But exactly, but that doesn't hurt his point prop. You know what I mean? Like you're saying is, I mean, the puck does come through him for a point often on the power play because teams are trying to stop him. I mean, I like Draisaitl a lot here. So if you just went to puckluck.com and you wanted to get what they like the most for the model, 2 points for Draisaitl is plus 109. So that's the biggest, difference in that margin. I mean, also just completely neglecting the fact that Bouchard is minus 145, which is also pretty dumb, but at some point you're just going to have to pick your battle here. And, I think I'm going to end up with Draisaitl in my main slip, but I definitely understand going Hyman, and I'm going to kind of go back and forth on it. I just think that like he's super involved, and if you want, everything we're saying here is kind of going down one path as well of Draisaitl for an assist minus 125. I get it; he can score. I get that he has one of the more lethal shots, but they're really kind of factoring in that I feel like into this price quite a bit. So I'm totally fine saying minus 125 for him. I'm even fine saying Hyman plus 150 for an assist. Like, it's like kind of odd, those prices, in my opinion, comparatively to like where the points are at.
I don't know. I kind of, I mean, I don't have the math in front of me for Hyman, plus whatever, plus 115, plus 150, and then point minus 195. I don't know how that stacks up. So, someone smarter than me will have to figure that out. But I think for me, I'm not playing any of these Nashville guys. Like I get it. They've been very productive, but the Edmonton Oilers are an absolute wagon. So I don't necessarily trust anything that they're putting out there as far as like, odds or anything. So I'm going to stick to Hyman, just the point prop. I understand what you're saying. I fundamentally disagree about the Draisaitl thing. Like, I think the stats show that he's been very much less involved in the power play. But, again, I think that's schematic, and that because they're able to get Hyman what he can get, like, it's just McDavid doing stuff. And then, hey, look, this guy's open. He's going to score. Like, it's not really, it's still Draisaitl is very good, but it's just not the same Draisaitl as last year. And I feel like that price
last year he like set records for. Didn't he set the record for power play points last year? Like, okay.
So just
all right. You know what? We're gonna argue about this, and it's kind of just stupid because. All right. I honestly, everything you're saying is correct. One thing on Nashville is that I was going to mention is that if you looked at these two teams, and you probably thinking to yourself, well, Edmonton, the matchup's really, really good and whatnot. So, and I get it. But Forsberg, 8.8 attempts per game over the last 5. Yossi, 7 attempts per game over the last 5. It's one of the better prices you're going to get on Forsberg, minus 133.5. It's a terrible matchup. You don't have to do it. no one's making you, but it's there. And yeah, the thing is, Matt will fight everyone on Draisaitl being bad. That's the problem I have. Is he can't just admit
No,
that Draisaitl's a good player.
I'm fighting on the idea that anything runs through him because it doesn't. Like it just I don't know.
Okay.
I watch enough. Like he's a weapon that
I
they
feel
use,
like I watch it.
but it runs
Okay.
through McDavid. Like Draisaitl's not doing figure eights out there with the puck and like dishing it off to whoever will
No,
listen. Like it's freaking McDavid. I don't know. Like anyway,
you're
GA,
correct.
don't
You are
make me
correct.
turn
It
this
runs
car
through
around.
McDavid. We're
All
going
right,
over to
let's.
Buffalo and the Sharks. I personally am ready to be hurt again by the Sabres. Tonight or today is the day that they once again go out and lay the fattest of eggs against the team they should absolutely pummel. Now, if you're looking at puckluck.com, it likes the stupid Sabres. I won't even look at that bet. It's minus 237. They're minus 205. I cannot possibly put myself through watching them lose to the Sharks and me losing money at the same time. So if you're a better person than me and you can separate your wallet from your ability not to break the wall with your fist, you can go right ahead and bet the Sabres. I think it's justified at minus 205. They're a much better team in this matchup. It's not a crazy edge, but it's an edge. There's lots to get to probably in this game as far as props are concerned. I'm assuming most of them are on the Sabres. I also, as far as the 4-game DFS slate, I'm sure the Sabres are a fine pivot away from Edmonton, which will be very chalky.
It's only two. They split up the 12 o'clock game and the 4 o'clock games.
Me?
Yeah.
That's so stupid. Are they stupid? Okay. Then never mind what I just said. Well, actually, don't. Or do. If you're playing the 2-game slate, I don't know. You could do whatever you want. What this dumb thing. Okay. Do you have any initial thoughts on this game while I pull up other stuff?
Well, I mean, the news we have is that Okposo is on the first line. They practiced like that yesterday. So just looking at his goal prop real quick. Yeah, his goal prop is plus 350 against the San Jose Sharks on the top line. The other the other news we have is that Matthias Samuelsson is almost certainly missing. I guess it's possible he draws in, but he got hurt. And then, let's see. I don't even know. Line 2 is the same. And so line 3 then has Middlestat with like Greenway and someone. So I think that means Benson's still out.
Maybe Benson, but
yeah, whatever. The main things I think we want to look at are Dahlin. Like, I mean, he's going to see even more ice time now without Samuelsson. He's been quite good. When anytime a defenseman makes a sort of expected fantasy point list, you pay attention. Obviously, Roman Yossi's here. But after that, Dahlin's the next guy up as far as these 8 teams that are playing in the earlier window. So I do like that. You look at some of his shots, 6 shot attempts over the last 10 per game, and he's at minus 150 over 2.5 against the San Jose Sharks. Like, if the Sabres struggle at all, I think that, that's right. Malik, thank you. For some reason, I blanked on Tuck being on line 3 because I just said Okposo was on line 1. So yes, that is exactly what that's what the line is. Okay. Anyway, Dahlin is my favorite bet here for sure. I think he's awesome.
For what?
For shots.
Okay, I assume, because I was gonna say, like, I like the point prop okay, but minus 220 is just something I just don't really love. But the shots minus 150 on 2.5. That is, I think, probably the best bet here. I was just running through again. Someone said that they heard that Brenson might be in because he was actually sick, but I wasn't sure if that ever got confirmed in any capacity. So I would keep an eye on it, just to be extra safe that they don't change anything. But yeah, practice was Skinner, Thompson, Okposo. He was not. Yeah, he practiced on the 4th line. Okay, whatever. Yeah, it's probably just Dahlin. I don't know if you have to overthink it very much. Any thoughts on overthinking it though with Fabian Zetterlund? For shots?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think I would rather take a goal or a point prop though, honestly. I would think that, well, I don't know. I just like Zetterlund's like efficiency more than I actually trust like the volume that he's been putting up. So yeah, and trust me, it's taking everything in me to not just go out and alpha jam Logan Couture, because I'm so excited he's back in, but we haven't really seen anything crazy from him since his return to the lineup. So the only other things I'm even considering, Owen Power under like minus 166 to not get a point. Like, I don't know, like the only thing that's troublesome there is I think he plays more with Matthias Samuelsson, so I'm probably betting into more time on ice than he's been getting, which is not fun. So that's what I'm considering. But otherwise, I'm just locked into Darlene. So you ready to move on?
Last note is that it was Middlestead back on the top power play, not Cousins last game, and they did win. Cousins didn't play on either power play though. What the heck happened? No, he was on the second. He was on the second one. Never mind. Because never mind. Doesn't matter. I just wouldn't do that if you're thinking like, oh, Cousins first power play. No. I do like him okay for shots though. I think that's okay. Like Puck Luck actually really likes it for some reason. But I don't think I like it as much as Darlene. So I probably stick there. Just double checking. Let's just move on. I don't think there's any.
Yeah, I mean,
over the last
Buffalo
5
years,
yeah.
Buffalo 2 just generates so much like volume, and like they're just so good that I think that's what Puck Luck's reading into. It's like, this line where they're together, even if the power play role's not there.
It likes all three of them, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I think that's
Quinn plus 135 on 2.5, JJ minus 105. I think JJ's probably the safer of the two between Cousins, but it's not by a ton. You could really convince me on any of them, but let's move over. Arizona and Carolina, I believe, is up first.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick pit stop on my sheet to get those players in. So on Arizona, Carolina,
you do that. I can.
Sure. So I mean, I have a few things. Arizona, Gunther was on the penalty kill last game, and part of that was because I think Lawson Krause was in the box for like the shenanigans that went on against Florida, or was it Tampa? I don't know. Whatever the last game was. But that was really noteworthy because, Gunther's a dude who we obviously love. He's on the power play 1. If he's a guy who's relied upon defensively, I mean, the sky is the absolute limit for this dude. So it's a terrible matchup, but I just wanted to note that because we might be seeing a unicorn develop right in front of our eyes if this dude is actually going to kill penalties in the NHL. Carolina, I mean, Nachos is a first line forward. Like that is, I mean, his usage over the last few games has been incredible. So I think focusing on him is the clear way to go here. So I'll let you talk about your favorite stuff in this game.
Oh, no. I'm really trying my best to not remember last slate. You got to be like a goalie sometimes. And Marty Nachos was actually tilting. Like Brady was tilting in a different way. We got really lucky to have a chance. If you bet is over 3.5, he was basically useless. Nachos just misses the net. And in egregious fashion. That is not going to happen every slate. He should have hit that over 2.5 with complete and total ease. It shouldn't have even been in the stratosphere of consideration. It should have been over with by the end of the first period. I could be convinced on either the point or the shots on goal here. I'm not really even looking at Arizona. I just don't think it's necessary. Like I get the Gunther situation is pretty cool. Marty Nachos has 8 attempts per game over the last 4 because he's only had 4. He's not in the top power play, which does kind of suck, but I think I'm just going back to the pain train, minus 135 on 2.5.
Yep. So, we look at Carolina here, and their shots over the last 10. It's Burns because it's freaking Burns. By the way, I'm in like the lower middle. And then Nachos 7.2 shot attempts since his return from injury per game. I mean, it's just awesome stuff. And again, he led the team in ice time last game. Like this is literal first line usage, and he's not listed as a first line forward. So like, I don't know if that means in like the 7 p.m. slate that I want to like stack Carolina 2 or anything like that. I'll consider it. But if we get better information on like Gunther's role and that puts him into play, like I would, very much consider a game stack of sorts. But yeah, I think everything I'm seeing is just more confirmation that riding the Nachos train until I feel like it's priced appropriately is the correct approach here. So I don't have any other news or notes or really any other thoughts here. So anything else before we keep going?
No, I was just kind of keeping tabs on my parlay, and something came. Boston has a bunch of guys out, so if you're looking at that 12:30 game, like DeBrusque and Forbert and who else? Just DeBrusque, Poitras, Forbert are all out. So just keep that in mind. Olmark's in net, so because everything disappeared for Boston, and I didn't understand what happened. Yeah, I think I'm good on this game. Nothing else really goes too crazy. Burns, understandable. Shea is interesting, but I think I'm sticking with Nachos. Keep it moving. Rangers and Ottawa. Ottawa might be without Chikrin. Did we figure that out?
No, but I don't think there's any fear that he misses. He seemed fine. Yeah, he's projected in for the team account. So yeah, I would expect him to play.
Yep, maintenance day. He will play tonight. Okay, just double checking on that. That was the one news I wanted to get to before we started. And there it is. So Rangers on a back-to-back, coming off of a tough loss. They gave up a hat trick to Marchessault. I don't think, in DFS, you're kind of showing it right now. But yeah, in DFS, I do think Ottawa is going to be pretty forgotten about. They are going Brady, Stu, Giroux. I love that. I think that's incredibly fun. I'm capitulating already, or I'm going to be capitulate, I'm sure. Or I could be convinced. Let's go with that. I'm going to stop using the word capitulate wrong, and I'm going to say I could be convinced.
Thank you.
Brady or Giroux minus 160 for a point.
Wait, they're both the same number?
Same number. And I feel like it's got to be Brady.
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's got to be Brady, but I feel like I could be convinced to pick Giroux, and I'd rather just, let's not be stupid. Okay. You're right. Thank you. I need to hear that.
Yeah. So, so that's, for two reasons. One, the idea that the guy who's taking the shots is more likely to score the goal. He's more likely to be a part of the rebound putbacks, whatever. But you look at the power play this season, and it's not a crazy difference between Giroux and Kachuk's involvement. So
what about
especially with Stützle around, he picks up some 175
for Stu.
Yeah.
What?
I think it's Kachuk, but to me, Giroux and Stützle sort of play the same role, so I don't really like those two playing together. But
what about all three together at plus 194?
Okay. I can dig it. I personally think that those same game parlays are not properly accounting for hardcore correlation. So we were playing around with some of the numbers, and basically anytime you stack a dude on the same team, it gives it the same penalty as far as correlation. So we were trying this with Trocheck Zibanejad, who had very similar point props one night with Panarin. It just isn't intelligent. It's just not. So I think anytime there's something obvious like that staring you in the face, if you're confident in the line, I feel like you're better off making those sorts of bets. But I can't do those bets. A lot of people can't do those bets in their given states. And obviously you can't do them on underdog or whatever. So I'm a little bit I don't want to focus on that too much, but I really do think as a major takeaway for, as it rolls out into various states, is to really try to take advantage of those really strict correlations, guys who are together on the power play, together at 5-on-5, and are known to have good chemistry, like Stützle and Brady. Because I think that's a really good value. And, plus 194, I don't know how to price that, but I think that that's far better than, 3 uncorrelated dudes that would get you to the same relative number, which we've tested.
It actually went up to 196 while we were talking and while I was getting ready to place it. So there you go. And nothing changed. It just was
they know I'm touting it, and they are actively factoring that in. So they're like, "Oh, this is gonna fail now." Anyway, the Rangers, they're also in a pretty decent matchup, particularly when you focus on the goaltending in Ottawa. They're not So this game has the goal pace. That's the second highest on the slate. Part of that was because Igor sprung a leak over the last 10, but we know that Ottawa's really struggled. Chris Kreider, DJ, I think he's been on your mind lately. Can you be talked into going into a Chris Kreider bet?
Yeah. I actually did go back to the Zibanejad shots last night in underdog slip. And I do think that like those two are very good together, and I could be easily go either way on their shots or their point prop. But Kreider's been super duper involved. Oh my God, I'm typing in Kreider instead of Rangers. I didn't pull them up. I only pulled up Ottawa. His just, I know his individual expected goals was super duper high. I'm trying to, is that where you're leading me to?
Yeah. So, his
he still leads
expected
me,
fantasy points is high. So, that's sort of
the
genesis.
Yeah. I mean, I could go minus 160 for a point, but do I like that more than Brady? Not really. So like if you could only pick one, but I don't actually hate the idea of just going like 5 point. This game could have goals. I mean, Rangers on a back-to-back, they've been super leaky.
Yeah. We are by the way, sorry, we're expecting a Trouba suspension because he was offered a hearing.
Oh yeah.
So Lindgren is also a question mark. I think this is a really good spot if you can find Eric Gustafsson stuff. He was paired with Adam Fox last night, and I think the minutes will just have to be there. I mean, they're going to be working with Braden Schneider, Zach Jones. So like, these guys just at the bottom of their lineup, I just don't think are going to play that much. So I like Gustafsson a ton and like daily fantasy. I don't think we can get anything on the betting front for like Rangers defensemen. But if anything pops up, if you're on the Peppers and you see like Gustafsson point or something, that's really something that I think is real good here. Plus 850 on the goal if you want to get real creative with Gustafsson.
Yeah, he shoots. That's not the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. What was the other thing I was gonna? Oh, Sanderson. Any thoughts on Sanderson in general before we move on, though? Just because his shots and stuff has been really, really good, but is it just sort of is it?
If I wanted to bet on if I wanted to bet on the power play one and their ancillary pieces, Shane Pinto was their last game, so I'd almost prefer to just try and get my exposure through him rather than Sanderson personally.
And he shoots them. They set him up. I kind of love that plus 500 for him for a power play point. That's a really good call. I kind of forgot about that. That would have been something I was just thinking to check that.
Look,
I have 500.
I have this terrible little notepad with my chicken scratch, and so I'm trying to read everything. But yeah, that's the last thing, and that might actually be the best thing. It's always tough. Betting on power play points is betting on power plays, which are relatively unpredictable. But yeah, let's just move Pinto in.
He had 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 5 shots on the power play. Whoa,
that's pretty good. Okay,
that's really good. Okay, all right. Let me just bet that really quickly before I forget about it, because that's actually kind of wild. I did not realize it was even that much. I was watching and I was like, man, are they going to pass to anyone besides Pinto on this garbage? Like, what the heck? And then, okay.
The answer is no, but yeah,
they didn't know. It was Shabbat on the second unit scoring, or it was Pinto not scoring. Hopefully it reverses. Next game, I believe, is Devils Tampa.
Sure. I don't really know what order to go in. So Devils. Actually, can we just go in the order of my sheet? I'm gonna get fucking lost on this little notepad. Montreal,
I don't care at all.
Okay. So Montreal, Pittsburgh. We saw when we did this originally that Pittsburgh was basically the only good matchup on the slate, and I posted in our Discord, by the way, DM one of us. It's in our little tags here. If you're not in the Discord and you want to get in there, we'll send you an invite. It's the One Escape Pod, blah blah blah. But really, over the past month or month and a half, like the league wide expected goals have just cratered. And we don't really know why that is. Mike Berg in the Discord sort of gave me a little bit of comfort when he said, "Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing too." So I know it's not some sort of flaw in like what I'm, what what I have, what Doug made to pull in these and do the opponent adjustments and whatnot. But it's really stark how much Pittsburgh stands out here. So I understand they're on a back-to-back. They really struggled against Florida, but Montreal's not Florida. So, Montreal will be without Brendan Gallagher. Slavkovsky moved from line 1 to line 2, Josh Anderson up to the top line, which, Josh Anderson is horrible defensively, and Pittsburgh 1 is very good offensively. So, DJ, fire up your Gensel, Crosby, Rust. Perfect correlation, line 1, line power play 1. I think that's what you should do. I will not hear other suggestions from you. But otherwise, Gensel as a one-off is perfectly, I like him to score. I like his point. Like, I just think everything to do with Gensel is awesome here, because I think everything sets up perfectly for Pittsburgh relative to other spots on this slate.
Yeah. Kind of been ignoring the money lines and stuff as of late as well. So I did want to mention the Ottawa thing. I just put it in the chat. B, this game actually, again, so you might be thinking to yourself when I say this, that this might be going against what you're saying, but we actually have it as Montreal as a pretty substantial edge as of now, but things could change. Montreal plus 133 is what Puck has, so anything better than that, and it's plus 190. And I know that's kind of scary or whatever, but I think it actually makes quite a bit of sense. But that almost leads me even more into thinking how good of a bet you could have on Jake Gensel over 3.5 minus 125. Just, the worst thing that can happen is Gensel gets 2 shots in the first period, but they're up, 4-0. And they kind of put it into the, in the rear view on shooting. So I like the idea of this game actually being a bit closer than anticipated, and Gensel being the engine that drives this offense, all the same. I could easily be convinced on a Brian Rust minus 150 point prop as well. Top line, top power play with Gensel and Crosby. Totally fine, especially when you consider that he is very involved and he's a very good player. It's not like he's a complete and total, sidecar on that unit. And the other two are plus 124, 1.5. I think he could be involved easily. He definitely carries the puck well. So those are the two for me, and I could be convinced to go either way. So again, I could leave it back to you. Minus 150 on Rust Point, or Gensel over 3.5 minus 125.
Yeah, look, GA here. I get it. Like, the Penguins have been relatively disappointing, but Montreal is straight trash. I mean, we saw the Islanders absolutely thrash them. They're losing forwards left and right. They have no centers. They now have no Brendan Gallagher. They're just a total mess. I think you can argue that the Monahan-Slavkovsky pairing will do fine against Malkin and the freaking bums that he has to lug around. I think it's Colin White now in Drew O'Connor. But this top line for Pittsburgh, it's just been awesome all season long. And yeah, they're not like dominating the shot share like Edmonton or something, but they're generating so much and giving it up the other way. Plus their power play rolls. Like, I think from a betting standpoint, Brian Rust minus 150 is, I think, my favorite. But Gensel makes a ton of sense. Sid, if you wanted to go there. And we could always bet on Erik Karlsson to hit the freaking net, because he continues to shoot a bunch and, just not do a ton from a fantasy perspective. 67 shot attempts in his last 10 games. So, anything to do with those big four, minus Malkin because of the 5-on-5 matchup that I'm slightly worried about, I am A-okay with. Let's move on to Toronto, New Jersey, Tampa.
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever is best for you. New Jersey,
so
Tampa, we have at minus 111 on Tampa and plus 111 on the Devils at puckluck.com, which would be a lean towards the Devils. Not a massive one, but like the last game, but this is still an edge nonetheless. Devils have been, the one thing about the Devils that's nice right now, at least, especially from a betting perspective, is that it really is pretty one-dimensional as far as what line is going to be doing the offense. And we'll get to that. I am not afraid to go against Tampa. I think the Devils are a fine spot here. I think they're a fine pivot. I'm also not afraid to go to Tampa. I think that, this game is going to probably get a bit overlooked. I think it's a pretty decently tempoed game. So I'm looking at shot props here. I could also be convinced on point prop. So what side do you want to start with?
There's really not much of news on either side, so I'm good to start on the New Jersey side because you said there was a slight edge there. That's pretty interesting because you look at the goals over the last 10, and New Jersey's actually been scoring, which, at 5-on-5, it doesn't feel like it. Part of that's because they absolutely throttled Vegas, and I would imagine that game is part of the goals popping up here. But if we're looking over recent samples, Tampa's been okay, but Vasi's not been Vasi. So yeah, I like this game to have a little bit of fireworks. I don't mind the over here if you're betting on New Jersey. Like, I don't necessarily think that New Jersey keeps this to a 2-1 win or something. So I could be convinced into like that, what is it, the 4-way market where it's like, team plus over, team plus under. I like the Devils in the over if I had to pick like a team side.
Yeah. Also, we did get something in here that we need to cover as we take a break. Yes, but you said our Bonnies. It is just my Bonnies. He's a Johnny's guy, and I'm a Bonnies guy.
Yeah,
I did have to grab this out.
So.
The Bonaventure
my
are going to lose by about 42 points. So good. Enjoy it. Dayton is unfreaking believable.
My college plays games like on actually relevant courts, like Madison Square Garden, on TV networks like Fox. I don't know if you've heard of, the Fox.
Dayton has a relevant court.
No.
Dayton has like a full.
Yeah,
arena.
because
it's
a bunch of
really nice.
Well, because a bunch of bums go to play there twice a year. I don't even know how they suckered their way into that. They're like, oh, everyone go to freaking Dayton, Ohio to play 2 games between 2 garbage teams. Like, sure, whatever. Yeah, great. A10 basketball.
The Wright brothers. Okay, are some of them the gyms legitimate high school gyms? Sure. Is it a joke? Kinda. Is it the only basketball I consume ever? 100%. So I don't know what else goes on in this world. Are you right and I'm wrong? Probably, but I'll kill you. So let's get over back to the Devils. I did want to point out I think one of the most important things about the Devils that I wanted to cover is if you, like myself, watched any of that game against Carolina, they looked good. Like, I mean, they actually played them incredible. They have 3.5 expected goals against Carolina, which just does not happen. Albeit their most dangerous player per Hockey Viz was Lazar, which I tend to disagree with. What I do agree with is that Nico Hischier was actually very dangerous. And I think that just going with anything through the Nico, Bratt, Timo line is just where you're kind of starting and finishing. I kind of, I can be convinced either way. I think there'll be pace here, yada, yada, but I kind of leaning towards that minus 150 Nico Hischier point, or the Timo Meier minus 140. But I honestly think I feel like I'm convincing myself for some reason that Nico Hischier is not as good as Nico Hischier is. And I believe he just actually is everything that that we want here.
Yeah, I mean, really, the thing with Nico Hischier is not necessarily that is he like if you're gonna bet on Nico Hischier, I think you might as well bet on either Timo or Bratt because those are his line mates and those are the 2 dudes really pulling their weight as of late. I mean, you look on I didn't change the labeling because I'm a loser, but you look on the main slate now here, and on the main slate, I mean, Timo's 5,300, and he's up here with every single player in terms of expected fantasy points is 6K or more. Like, so Timo's in a really good spot. I think, that line should remain as is. And yeah, that's the main, actually it will remain as is because we saw a practice on Friday with Timo next to Hischier and Bratt. So I like betting on Timo, but if you like Hischier, I think you would just correlate the two in your situation. But if I were to pick one guy from this game, it would be Timo.
Yeah, as far as shot on goal, like the problem with me getting to this is that Timo is 3.5 plus 120. I was hoping he'd be what he was last slate at. I'm fine with it, but I think it's pretty freaking risky. Like the attempts have been in the last 5, he's at 6.2. I mean, you're basically saying he's going to get a good bit over, he's going to have to probably shoot at least 6 attempts to give you even a chance. I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards a point prop. I could be convinced. I'll put Timo in. We're running out of time actually on the Boston stuff pop back up to get all these bets in. Our plan was to hopefully be done by now, but yeah. Oh, okay. And then I do want to mention, yes, the LaSalle court is legitimately a pool that they put a court over, and they won the championship. Yeah, but I've been to that court in Dayton, and I think my favorite part.
They canceled the 2020.
Oh yeah, they had Toppin. Yeah. I went, and like, I think the best part about it was how many Dayton fans were just like all in on the Bonnies. We're like, we hate you guys, but like the A10 team is playing UCLA. We're all in, and we went out to some like Irish bar, and they were just the best. I had so much fun with those people. It's a great town. Very good time. So definitely shout out to Dayton, Ohio. One of my favorite cities. Of course, everyone's favorite as well. Anything on Tampa that we wanted to get to? I feel like it's just like Kucherov stuff, like minus 133.5, but he really hasn't been shooting a metric ton, but it's kind of on the trend back up again. So if you look at Tampa over the last 5, yeah, okay, no, go on.
Yeah, I actually did some stupid. I saw, oh god, my stupid search function. Someone posted something about Kucherov that I really just had to jump on, even though it was not the spot for it. God damn it, I can't find it now. Basically, the idea is that Kucherov, like in the year 2023, had here we go. In 2023, in 37 games, Kucherov had more than 8 shot attempts 23 times. In 2024, he's played 10 games and had more than 8 shot attempts twice. I mean, like, it's not really back for Kucherov. He's been very productive because the points are coming, but at his DFS salary, at his sort of line that he's like, I think you really want someone who's going to get 8, 9, 10 shot attempts, and he's just not doing that. And that's what we were seeing from Kucherov every night to begin the season that we're just not seeing right now. So, the only narrative on Kucherov that makes sense is that he will be out there for the empty net stuff because, the Art Ross is very much in play for him. So like that's, realistic. Of course, the power play runs through and blah, blah, blah. But I think with Kucherov, he's not really a one-off, like a betting one-off. He's more of a guy you stack around in DFS these days because of just how much more he's utilizing the players around him, like Braden Point and Steven Stamkos and even Victor Hedman. Sort of like, I just think you gotta, if you're betting on Kucherov, just bet on everyone these days. So that's sort of my Tampa take. And I just much prefer Timo just at the price he's at. And what he's been doing as of late. So, all right. Okay. I think I've made my point there. So next up, Toronto, Winnipeg. Kelly Yarncrow, we just got news that he broke a finger, so he is out. Bertuzzi is back, so that's sort of a natural replacement. And then Matthew Nyes is line 1. On the Winnipeg front, we're going to have no Mark Scheifele. We will have Josh Morrissey and Velarde. I don't know if we have morning skate lines from Winnipeg, but yesterday they had Scheifele practicing with that top line. Since he won't play, we don't know who's going to be there, and I'm not seeing lines. Yep, okay, no lines. They would not use Velarde as center, so it could be some bum up there. My guess is Adam Lowry. So if you want to take a speculative bet on Adam Lowry, I don't mind him for goals or for whatever else he's listed on. But yeah, DJ, any thoughts on this game?
I was just posting my 14-leg parlay really quickly. Missing some things. Which game are we on?
Toronto, Winnipeg.
Ah, perfect. So I just threw in Kyle Connor for now at shots. And am I a little bit looking back the last game and thinking that might be true again? Maybe. But I think regardless of Scheifele, Velarde, and the guys being in, like, he's really the catalyst of shooting on this team. He's basically the guy in any capacity. So I do think if I'm going anything on Winnipeg, it's just going to be his shots over 3.5 minus 110. Other than that, it's hard to know right now. I mean, we think we know Morrissey's back, but other than that, we don't know anyone else. So that's it for Winnipeg, and I don't know if we're just gonna have to wait till we know more for this slate. This is a 7 p.m. game, right? Or
It
is it an
is.
8?
It's a 7
7.
Hockey Night in Canada.
Is that 7? Okay, yeah. So we'll know before it starts.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I said everything that I really needed to say here. I'm somewhat interested in Nick Ehlers if he's on the top line, and their power play has been atrocious, so I would not be surprised for that to be flipped around. We don't know what that looks like though, so hard to bet on anything there. But last game they scored 0 goals with Nemestikov between Ehlers and Connor, so yeah, it's truly anyone's guess. But Ehlers on the top power play, would expect that to stick, and so Ehlers, Lowry. I don't know. I think I prefer Lowry just because you get him at such longer odds for like a goal. But if you wanted to bet on Ehlers, that's perfectly good by me.
Yeah. But I guess the concern on Ehlers is just like if everyone's back, let's just say, is the power play 1 drop is completely.
Well, Velarde's.
I mean, does it?
Yeah, Velarde's playing, but like
For sure. I thought they said he was
really
game
going
time
to stay
still.
on the. He's been like, yes, very likely to play. That means they're in.
Okay. You're right. I think you're probably right there. Okay. No, I'm fine with it. Okay. I mean, you're talking to the king of Nikolai Ehlers. Like, I mean, the guy that bent Winnipeg to win the cup before the season started. You're talking about the guy that claimed the season of Ehlers. And yet I still get nervous because it is every time I see Rick Bowness say he's on the top power play, I just think my new meme of you sure about not that you're sure about that. What did I send you the other day? The new thing. Tim Robinson meme. It's
You expect me to believe
you expect me to believe that.
Yeah.
So it is the you expect me to believe that Tim Robinson bit now when I see Ehlers in the top power play in practice. Okay, yeah, I think I mean I'm like I said, I'm going with Connor for shots as probably my favorite here. I don't want to overthink it. We have him at puck luck at about 3 or whatever, but the volume's there, the role is there. I feel like I'm going to be sitting here thankful that I did this at this point, just because the offense is so driven through him and Velarde coming back. I know he takes some shots, but he's not taking as many outside, shots as a guy like Kyle Connor, who's averaging 7.5, and Ehlers 8.2. So those are the two that are kind of doing it on separate lines. On the Toronto side, the guy that kind of jumped out to me originally for shots. Oh, sorry, what?
I don't think they'll be on separate lines. I think it's very possible that they play together. It's not guaranteed because obviously Velarde and Connor play well together, but Ehlers was there, so that's certainly something that we'll keep an eye on. But just that would be cool.
Okay. I'm getting distracted by way too many things. Let's Toronto. Marner's been shooting a ton. I found that to be interesting. 7.6 attempts over the last 5, and his price just hasn't moved. I know that at any moment Marner could just stop shooting and go back into passing only mode. But I think minus 135 on him is fine, especially if you can find it on your prize pick or underdog. I really wanted to point that one out because not only would that add value to your slip, but it's actually seemingly pretty projectable as a good bet. And in this game, let's not be too biased by last time's 0-0 overtime, going into overtime result. Like this game isn't projected to be terrible. Like it's about a 6. Expected goals, it's a coin flip for minus 104 from Winnipeg. So basically a coin flip. While I think volume is going to be super high here, and I definitely lean shot on goal, you could take a look at the point props. And I think that Marner, Connor, Morgan Riley as well at 2.5 minus 105 are all great bets if you're not looking to get into the Austin Matthews of the world. Tavares was the guy for Toronto last slate, had about 1 million. I think he had 7 shot on goal and a ton of attempts. Nylander only got the 3, but I could easily go back to him as well. Kind of feels like that's not as much a product of plan as much as it's necessity when they're out there. Like they're both willing to shoot. So who has the opportunity? So is there one individual shot on goal prop? And do you agree with me as well that this is a great game for shot on goal props?
Yes, I don't know that I love it from the Toronto side though, because we've seen Matthews kind of fall by the wayside, and so like he's got the same shots per game over the last 10 as Mitch Marner, and clearly they're priced very differently. So if you want to go Mitch Marner, fine, but we know who Mitch Marner is. It's not like we're okay, now we've seen the real Mitch Marner, like he's here. So it's like, are we really like going to bet on something that we're seeing right now and just betting on it to continue? I don't know. I feel much more confident in the Ellers specifically, but also Kyle Connor, just because we know that's their goal and that they're doing it actively. And it's a road game, right, for Toronto. So Winnipeg at home has been unbelievable defensively. Well, they've been unbelievable defensively everywhere, but especially at home. So like, yeah, you could get into those crazy game scripts where Toronto's trailing and they're just chucking or whatever. But yeah, like to me, it's probably Marner, but I just would prefer to go with Ellers and Connor. So, yeah, I don't think I
No,
have
I mean,
anything
I agree with everything
else.
you're saying.
Like, I think you
Yeah,
can
I guess
consider
the
guys in DFS. Sorry, just because he's still going to be ridiculously cheap. With Bertuzzi back and Yarncrow out, like you're just betting on the stupid, like, oh, okay, Matthew Nyes finally does something, and he's played 16 minutes each of the last two games, so it's kind of there for him, and they just got to actually do something. I don't know. That's the best I can offer as far as like punts or whatever. But I think we know who drives the bus on these teams.
Yes. Sorry, I was posting my stuff, and also I just posted a link if you have interest. I had a couple people reach out to me, and they were saying for some of these bigger slips, especially when we do these 14 like monster parlays, like DraftKings has the social thing, and I looked at it, and I've always thought it sounded stupid, and I didn't care about it, but actually it is not that bad. We actually did one with some of the guys at home that me and Matt are in, so I made one just so I can, if you just want to click and tail some stupid stuff and bet whatever you want on it, but especially for the bigger parlays. So I just posted a link to that under the 14 leg parlay bet. If you, again, even if you just want to join the group and see what other, I think I put it's only my bets I'll post in that one. Yeah, I think I'll probably keep it that way, but maybe we'll make another one too if we want to do like a morning skate pod one. We can look into it. It actually functions decently. Okay, let's keep moving though, because we're 10 minutes over and we have 4 games left, I think 5 games left.
Yeah,
Are you ready?
5. Yeah, Florida and the Islanders. Adam Pelech is hurt, I think. He got absolutely murdered. So I didn't actually see an official update. We probably got one in morning skate. But that's obviously a big deal. We know that when he was out, like Dobson was playing this massive, massive role. Under Patrick Waugh, everyone who's good is playing a massive, massive role, which of course we like, but just another notch in the belt there for Dobson. And then on the Florida front, we don't know anything. They obviously just played last night. Barkov left the game but returned. So unless it's a late onset concussion symptoms, we would expect him to play. And we would expect him to basically double shift with his Samoskevich, Rodriguez, and Reinhardt, like sort of flipping in for Samoskevich. So, yeah, I don't know like which side I lean to in this game. So tell me, what does Puckluck have to say here?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. It is minus 179 on the Panthers, which is a bit of an edge to the minus 148 offered by the sports books. Factoring in that back to back, I mean, this Islanders team has been not very good defensively. They've been not good in net. So I do think you're betting on that continuing, which is a bit of a tough one for me to swallow, but I get it. I also, as you're kind of showing, this matchup is very, very bad for the Islanders, all considered. But I would say that this is maybe becoming a bit of, I don't want to say, especially not skill wise, becoming a Colorado situation, But we are starting to see minutes creep into that almost that realm of top guys getting top minutes, especially in games where they're trailing. So you look at the last game. Do you want to take a guess at how many minutes Barzal had?
23.
27.
27. That's a
Or
lot for a
26.
regulation game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regulation
Wow.
game. Bashing had 3. McLean had 6. Clutterbug had 8. Gather had 8. Like it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, okay, like they look bad. It's a bad matchup, but 2.5 for Bo Horvat. I mean, I'm just taking it. Minus 175. I'm just him or Dobson, I think, are my favorites. And I know Barzal coming off of I believe I'm gonna double check it while we're doing this. He had 9 shots on goal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 misses. So 14. Bo Horvat had, oh boy, I can't even see the break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is just wrong. It's broken. I think it's just kind of no. Oh my god, it's not broken. Palmieri had like 15 shot attempts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
He had 11 shots on goal.
Yeah, okay. 9 shot attempts for Horvat, 6 on net. And Palmieri, I'm not gonna add that all up. They had a ton of power play run. I do want to point that out as well. Like more than you could imagine, it feels like.
Well,
so that also factors into a lot of this volume.
Yeah, Gallagher took out a machete and chopped off Adam Pellick's head.
Yeah.
So yeah, he spent a lot of time in the
box. That did
happen.
Right. That is exactly why as well. Thank you. They had 3 power play goals, and Dobson had 30 minutes. Just point that out. So it's very easy for me to be convinced to bet something on the side of the Islanders, and I'm leaning towards going with Bo Horvat minus 175, 2.5. Dobson minus 125, 2.5. I mean, that is very, very good. The guy getting 30 minutes, all the power play run in the world. And then, I get Barzal just coming off the big game, and Palmieri 2.5 minus 110. Like, you could really bet any of them and I'd feel good about it. But to me, Bo Horvat is the safest. Like, that guy's, they actively want shooting. Like, they're like, how can we set him up to shoot for sure on that top line? So yeah, any thoughts?
So, bring it in. This is the first game where Oliver Wahlstrom will play under Patrick Roy. Thoughts? Do you think he gets to 24 minutes? Do you think Patrick Roy finally sees the light that Oliver Wahlstrom is Jesus? Or are we just stuck with him on the third line with Pajot and he's going to play 8 minutes somehow?
Do I have to do it again, Matt? You expect me to believe that? It's really frustrating.
He is 2,700 on DraftKings. Gautier's hurt. Fashing's hurt. The fourth line isn't playing. Matt Martin draws back in. I don't know how much of that identity line is for, is Patrick Roy buying into that? And it's just because Zizekas is on IR that it's not there. But if that fourth line's not playing, if this McLean dude isn't playing, and Oliver Wahlstrom's 2,700, I mean, the third line, I don't know. That's really something that I'm trying to wrestle with because I don't think I want to spend up for Islanders pieces. But if we're talking about the DFS slate later, I mean, we're probably going to like punts. We normally like punts. I'm having a real hard time to just say, please, one time, use Wahlstrom the way he should be used, which is, on the second power play or the first one if you wanted to take Palmieri off it. But, and I guess 11 shots, I guess he's just going to score one of these days. I think he did score, but anyway, it's just one of those things where I kind of want to bet on something before we see it. And Wahlstrom feels like the guy under Patrick Roy who, if now it's now or never. And so that's sort of my final stand on Wahlstrom.
Do you know? I want you to take a guess. I'm going to pull up DraftKings as well. Anytime goal scorer, Oliver Wahlstrom on FanDuel.
Oh God! Don't make me deposit on FanDuel plus 500.
It's much better.
Wait, better? Meaning
it's plus 800. Plus 800. I hate it, but I'm putting $25 to win 200 on that. Get out of here. Plus 800 on Oliver Wahlstrom. Did they forget that he's good? I know. I'm sorry. I'm making you deposit on FanDuel, but I am doing it. Like,
No,
I
you're
have to
making me
do this.
log
I
in
can't
to
let this
FanDuel.
slide.
I need to figure out how to log into
Okay,
FanDuel.
never mind.
Uh,
You can't.
okay.
You know what's
Well,
funny is I it didn't work for me until I changed my email, and I changed my email to the Morningscape Pod one, and like went through that, and then it was no problem at all. I've never had a problem again. So I do think that's the fix, in case you're wondering. But yeah, I'm putting $25 to win, well, 200 in profit on Oliver stupid Wallstrom. Oh my god, what a dumb day.
GA, go on. Do you have a point? Have I not proven my deposit chops enough over the past year?
Oh, okay, we got to keep
I'm just
moving. But
waiting
yeah,
with patience.
I cannot
We
get over
do.
that price. I cannot get over it. We didn't even say a single thing about the Panthers. Do you have anything to add on the Panthers? I feel like there's a revenge narrative cooked in
They're
here somewhere. I'm not finding it, but
I mean, Kachuk
the
is really
he's
the
I
only
think he's
guy
just
that
saying that you need to like if you're in the deposit kingdom, you should be depositing all the time, and that the fact that you're even thinking about not depositing
buddy,
is disrespectful to the kingdom.
buddy. I've been depositing, don't you worry. So for Florida, it's been kind of interesting. Verhaeghe's expected fantasy points have really fallen off while Kachuk's been on his run. I don't know how much I want to buy. Oh well, actually, Kachuk's the only player worth playing here, but certainly does kind of feel that way at this point. I mean, he just continues to put up points. He seems back. 18 points in his last 10, averaging 21 DraftKings points over that span per game. Like just insane stuff. So I think Florida 2 is where I would focus. And if I'm betting something, it would be I guess Matthew Kachuk, because I'll be going on FanDuel, or I'll actually probably look into like my ESPN bet or whatever to see if I can get like some sign up bonus and just dump it all on Oliver Wahlstrom, because yeah, that is generational if they have the same
Yeah,
number as FanDuel.
I can't see that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have ESPN in the great state of New York.
Yeah, I'll figure that
No,
out off air.
that truly is. Yeah, I mean, we have a ton of time, but that truly is unbelievable number. Like he's probably power play 2. I'm just like looking through right now to find all the information. A bunch of guys are out. Bashing, like you said, is out. My
Yep.
God, like it just feels like there's. I mean, it's not perfect, but Peugeot plays. Like Peugeot is going to play.
Yep.
They like Peugeot, and he played 18 minutes. His line mate 19 minutes. His line mate was Holmstrom. He played 15 minutes. I expect him to get 15, 16 minutes, and he is
Whoa,
one of the
okay.
more
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
dynamic
whoa,
goal
whoa, whoa,
scorers.
whoa. If he gets 15, 16 minutes, you should be windmilling in everything to do with Oliver Wahlstrom. I'm
All
happy
right.
with 12.
Yeah,
I'm happy with
12.
12.
You're right. He's going to get 12 minutes.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's keep going. Vegas, Detroit. Vegas absolutely smoked Igor last night, so that was fun. That's what led Packer backer to the top 1-2 spots in the 444. Led me to a min cash, so I think you're perfectly fine to go right back to Nick Waugh, Marchessault, and Barbashev. They are still way too cheap for how productive Marchessault has been, and then getting guys who play a bunch that are correlated with him and that have been productive at their current price tags. I mean, Barbashev has gone at 15 or better in 4 of his last 5 for 3,400 on DraftKings, and Nick Waugh has gone for 13 or better in 4 of his last 5. So that line is clicking. They're getting the job done. They're super cheap. That's what I'm looking for in DFS. The only other note I have is that Larkin and DeBrincat were together last game at 5-on-5. They were not together on the power play, but they shut out the Flyers. So, I would expect that line to hold. And if you want to spend up,
Yep, it is.
that's an interesting spot for sure, especially if you want to make a game stack or something. Because Larkin to
Yeah,
DeBrincat just feel like they should be better than they've been.
they practiced. Yeah, they practiced. It held with Raymond. Raymond on the top power play. Looking at the last game, DeBrincat had 4 shot attempts. And what that line was everything. I mean, you look at expected goals, they only had 1.6. That top line contributed about 0.8 of that, I believe. So about half of their expected goals came from those 3 players individually. So That's really good. Larkin scored. He had a ton of shots, but that line in general had a monstrous amount of shots. Like I said, DeBrincat had 4, Larkin had six, and Raymond had 6. So that was their offense. And I'm going to DeBrincat myself. Like, I know I just kind of made a case for all of them being fine. And Raymond at 1.5 minus 150 is fine, in my opinion. I definitely get that as well. But I think they, A, want to get DeBrincat going, and B, like, he is one of the more prolific, historic great shooters. I mean, you put him back in a role like this, on a line like this, I'm in. And he is the guy shooting on that second. It's him and Sprong. Like, they're just giving it, like Valeno and Fabry are not shooters. So they get run. It's not like it's one unit or nothing. They definitely spread the wealth there. So I'm going with Raymond 2.5 minus 125. Kind of a bet on history getting back, and a bet on like what I think is really not a bad spot.
DeBrincat, right?
I'm going with DeBrincat, yeah.
Because I think you read it, but Raymond is 1.5 minus 150. So
yeah, I like both. Yeah. Like I'm saying, I like both of those a ton. I did go with DeBrincat. I could be convinced, and you could easily convince me right now. I just think that DeBrincat number is a bit off. Puck Luck has it over. So I like that. That helps give me a little bit. Like, I think both of them are like about, I don't know. I don't want to say about the same, because I mean, they're not priced the same, but like including the pricing of the minus 150 to minus 125, it's literally one shot. I think they much prefer DeBrincat shooting at 5-on-5 personally. But Raymond can, do you have a thought here?
I have a light preference for Raymond, just because 1.5s are always very interesting to me. Like, I just, and Raymond is good enough to where a 1.5 in the role he's in, like, I'm happy to just jam that in and move on. DeBrincat's not done anything. I mean, he's been horrible in his last stretch of games as far as like his output. I would expect that to change going forward, but I just think there's less friction to a 1.5 number on Lucas Raymond, who is only out on the ice to take the puck and shoot it. Like, he's like not that impactful otherwise. So it makes a bunch of sense to me to focus there. Anything else you want to cover?
No, I guess the only thing I was going to say is that Vegas has actually been giving up quite a few shot attempts. And most of them, I believe, have been, I'm trying to pull it. It's kind of hard to like separate Vegas out a little bit. I know they gave up an exorbitant number of shots against the Rangers. I'm trying to remember what Hill ended up on. I think it was, 30 something, but they only, a lot of those were pretty low danger. So yeah.
All right. Well, in any case, let's keep it going. My cat has joined me. She's very hungry. She wants her lunch because she gets a pill around lunchtime, and we're going late. So let's keep going to Anaheim and Minnesota. The fighting Jacob Silfverbergs. I cannot believe that it's finally here. Jacob Silfverberg is doing all of the things. He is still minimum salary. He's lined up alongside Mason McTavish. I know they lost their last game, but I would not expect that to change, honestly. And Silfverberg is playing on the top power play unit, which, I've mentioned this a few times now, but their top power play unit is not the one with Troy Terry and Zellweger or whatever. Like, the Cam Fowler unit is the first unit over the boards. It gets the most ice time. It has Jacob Silfverberg on it. It is their most used power play. Therefore, it is power play 1. So I think you can look to Minnesota stuff here. I certainly get it, given the matchup that they're going into. But DraftKings finally has a shot prop up for Jacob Silfverberg, and it is 1.5 minus 140. I know the minutes aren't going to be there. He's not going to hit 18, 19, 20 minutes, but really nobody on this Anaheim team is that reliable for it. And he is one good game now away from passing Frank Vetrano in terms of shots per 60. And I know Vetrano's tailed off a little bit, but just think about how insane that sounds. Frank Vetrano, the shot machine, the dude who was 3.5. I think he might even still, no, he's back down to 2.5 now. But earlier this year, he was a 3.5 shooter. This guy per minute is almost better than him and is 1.5 on the better power play unit. Like, I just think that Silfverberg is what I want to go to in this game because he's game script proof. I mean, there's nothing that can happen here that makes me think Silfverberg is not more than likely to hit that number, be it whether they up, they're down. He's just out there. He's going to put a couple muffins on net. And if he scores, great. But if not, I mean, just minus 140. I like that bet of the night, I think, for me.
Okay. I think that's totally fine. I mean, I went with Kaprizov. I just think he's going to get back on track as far as volume is concerned. But Puck Luck does have this as a minus 150, by the way. So I did want to point that out that like it's, again, should be very close. It kind of leads a little bit to the Ducks, not by a ton. But again, I do think this game will be competitive. I like to, in a game against the Ducks, I just want to bet on what I think that the Ducks don't have to anything to stop, and that's Kaprizov. And I so again, like the point prop is tough. I think that plus 171.5 is okay, but I am leaning just going with his shots over 3.5. Like that he is just like, I don't really know what has gotten away from it, but Puck Luck actually really likes it. So I'm going to go back to it. I mean, it likes the point prop too, but it's pretty high on him in general as a play today in any capacity. So that's my lean.
All right.
Is just saying that we're getting a really good number and a really good matchup.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, DJ hitting us with the vibes per 60 on Kaprizov. That is the
It's
DJ
not
we
even
wanna
just
see. So
it's not even
no,
vibes.
just,
Like Puck Luck likes it. It's projectable. It's more
I'm
of
saying,
again, it's a bet on where it's gonna go, not where it is right now. And like he was shooting a ton and it just kind of fell off over the last 5. Like you pull up like last 10 on the season and you see Kaprizov way up there, and then the last 5 it's dipped down again to 4.6 per game. But I think that
okay. All I'll say is that I've talked to you about hockey for a number of years. Anytime you come in with a good take that is backed up with, I just feel like he's going to get back on track as the first thing you say. I feel like that has like a 90% hit rate. So that is what I'm going for.
yeah.
The projectable, the statistical thing. And then all of a sudden you just go, well, I feel like it's going to get better. And you know what? That's all I need. So I mean, that's good.
I just, again, when I pulled it up on Puck Luck and I was like, man, they like him for, getting over this. That's kind of when I was looking at, I mean, again, look at this game, over 7 attempts on the season per game. And yes, it's the Wayne Gretzky betting advice. Just eat 4 pizzas in the locker room, get out there and shoot the puck is really what Wayne Gretzky would tell him. But
no.
But really what
Wayne
it comes
Gretzky
down to
would
is
say, Wayne Gretzky would say, don't bet where the line is now, bet where the line is going. And that is what DJ Mitchell is telling us here.
That is, I mean, minus 120 on that 3.5 just feels like something that we would have been absolutely going nuts over like 5 games ago because Kaprizov was shooting a ton. And now it's against the Ducks, of course, considering the matchup. And now we're just sort of like, well, couple games. I don't know. And just I'm trying to like look at the wider scope of things like Puck Luck did and kind of made me think, wait a minute, let's take another look at this. We can keep it moving. But nothing really else stands out a lot on the I'm sure Matt's going to say Brock Faber for a point minus 120. Okay, Matt, let us know. But I think I'm just going to go with that. Or, I could go Kaprizov, over a 1.5.
Yeah, there's a better edge on Brock Faber hat trick at plus 100, so I'm just going to bet that. The last 2 games, Hockey Night Canada starts off hot, gets a bit ugly. Chicago at Calgary and Columbus at Vancouver. On the Chicago front, I don't have anything. I don't have any interest in anyone besides Seth Jones, so I'm not even going to bother with it. If you really wanted to try to like make me cry, Nick Foligno, I tried to bet on him last time out, didn't work, but he has been like their only reasonably consistent player as far as like getting pucks on goal. But he's 1.5 minus 125. Anything on Chicago before we talk about the Flames?
They're an absolute joke of a franchise. You can take any under you want on a point, and it's probably fine. They will score 1 goal probably, and you just got to say which guy isn't going to get involved in that 1 goal. I like the lean away from where Nick Foligno is right now and Radish, so I would go with like Jason Dickinson, for example, All-Star Jason Dickinson, but whatever under you prefer.
I hear that's worked for you before.
Yeah, I only broke my phone. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't actually, but I was sad.
Yeah, so on Calgary, basically everyone who was in their bottom 6 is no longer in their bottom 6. They lost 2 guys to waivers, 2 guys to injury, and I think and then Dylan Dubé. So, Coronado stands out just because, we think he's good, and therefore 2.5 plus 135. Like, it's like that feels almost too aggressive. And it's rare that a sports book is like, hey, actually, we are going to like the prospect more than you. But so I don't necessarily think I like that line all that much. But when we look through some other stuff, I actually could be sold on like a power play point for Coronado plus 650. I know it's not power play one, but man, that's enticing. Who are you liking on the Calgary side?
Yeah, the first name for me is Nelson Kadri minus 166 for a point. I definitely understand going to shots here because you can bet anything you want against Chicago. It's really Rockford. They're an AHL quality team right now. But to me, again, I just think that Nelson Kadri is one of, if not the most prolific offensive weapon on this team. Unless if you want to argue Rasmus Anderson and Mackenzie Weegar, who have been red hot as well. But I think that most of the offense is kind of driven by Kadri. And I know you might be thinking, well, it's Zari and Coronado. That's not a deterrent for me, honestly. Like, I think that that's probably an upgrade offensively, at least, maybe not defensively, over a guy like Pospisil. So yeah, I'm going to go with that myself. Kadri, top power play, as well, in my opinion. They did go back to Rasmus Anderson on the top unit, but it was kind of weird. They kind of scattered it throughout. They got beaten pretty bad by Columbus, so definitely keep an eye on what they do. But minus 166 Kadri point is where I landed.
Yeah, I like that. It's also implicitly a bet on Coronado being good. So I'm happy with that. Right, yeah. Lindholm no point plus 120 is kind of interesting. I mean, he's just been not doing it. So I don't know. I don't have, like, you can't bet on no goals, but Lindholm is just not scoring. So I think plus 120 is interesting if you really just want to say Calgary is kind of a joke. That makes sense. I mean, his game logs are not enticing. None of his underlyings are either. So, and you can sort of say the other lines get it done between Backlund and Kadri's lines. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, I so agree with you. And like, I looked at that Lindholm over at first, and I was like, no, I'm going with Sharangovich. And then I just hate that line too. I'm just like, no, this line sucks. It's so bad. Like, I so much prefer the Kadri line, just offensively. Like, I think, yeah, I think I'm correct on my take there. And if it doesn't get there, it's not because I was wrong. It's because the coach was wrong.
Yeah. I guess similar vein, Huberdeau plus 110 for the under too. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it's Huberdeau at least has I think he's more of a passer. So like, the secondary assist will bite you. But Lindholm sort of feels like if he's not shooting, he's not really that involved on the power play. So I don't know. It's more of a feel thing. I like the Kadri point if you want to do that though as well. All right, we have one more game. Columbus, Vancouver.
Yeah, that's the last one. Vancouver, did they make any additional changes since breaking up the lotto line? As in bringing it back together and making me happy, or no?
It should be a Suter alongside Besser, Miller, and Pettersson between Kuzmenko and Mikheyev.
I don't know, like, I guess whatever. I believe what I put in the 14 leg parlay based on what I have is, puck luck stuff and whatnot was Besser for shots. Yeah, I had Besser for shots. This game is stupid. I still like Besser for shots just fine, but maybe even for a point. I don't know. I like Brock Besser. I think the books have just continued to not price him correctly for the entire season. And he's like one of the NHL leaders in goals, and they just continue to not price him like he's any good. I don't really understand it personally.
Besser 2.5 shots is pretty interesting. 5.5 over
the last Suter 10. Was on the top power play. What the?
Yeah.
Have they given up?
He scored
I guess he scored.
He scored a hat trick.
What is? Did I just complete? Did I pass out?
I don't
remember seeing. They lost 4-3, and Pius Suter scored a hat trick. This game doesn't register in my brain. Wait, was this Thursday night?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I fell asleep at like 11 on the dot, so I didn't see a single thing. I was absolutely exhausted. Wow.
Look, I'm
Biggest
telling
suitor
you,
power
Thursday
play
night was
point.
terrible, but whatever. If it was Thursday night, just whatever. I guess Thursday night was actually awesome because you slept. There
Okay.
we go. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's only plus 325. So just put that money on Shane Pinto for a power play point at plus 5 or 5 to 1.
It was
Yeah,
Wednesday
Suter,
night, by
Miller,
the way.
Besser. Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Wednesday night. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when I slept or didn't sleep. The point of this game is that
Are you
I
sure?
like I mean the Miller line is the best line on this team. So like I'm betting through that line, and like maybe I was incorrect on my initial take a little bit that it's shots over point for Besser, but minus 180 for a point, minus 145 for 2.5. I feel like both of them are. That's kind of where I'm leaning. Like JT Miller's not a prolific rate shooter. He gets pucks on net for sure. Like when the opportunity, he's he will put him on net, but that's not his first move. Pius Suter does shoot, he at least had 3 last game, as we just learned. Yeah, I think Besser for either. What do you have a lean either way?
I like the Besser shots.
Yeah,
I'm trying to talk myself into a Pedersen under 1.5 points, just given he's with Kuzmenko and Mikheyev, and 1.5 points is just a little extreme for a guy in that circumstance. The power play runs through JT Miller. We know this, so I just don't think the value's there. Like minus 210, am I really that excited about it? I don't know. I'll probably just take the Besser shots and rely on him to keep doing what he does. So we'll see though. Kuzmenko under a point, minus 135 as well without that power play role. I mean, he's one bad shift away from being benched entirely. So getting that minus 135, maybe that's the move. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like I want to like this Columbus team, but the problem is they're really rolling 4 lines,
yeah,
which is just not ideal for player props or anything. Like I don't think they're as bad as they were earlier in the season. Like I was railing on them night after night, saying, "Oh, this team sucks," whatever. They've been a lot better. Like they've been respectable, I guess. And so that makes me interested, but I can't find any way to really tell you which player is going to do the things. So I much prefer Vancouver, where where we know which players are going to do the things because it's the same 4 dudes every night.
yeah.
All right.
No, I think that's honestly a perfect way to put it. Is that there's 4 players on Vancouver getting all of the work at 5-on-5 for forwards. Of course, Peronic and Quinn Hughes are also doing a good bit of the share over there as well. And Columbus, for God knows what reason, just idiotic. I think they're starting to unleash Fantilli a little bit, and they're starting to unleash Chinikov a little bit, and those are players to get excited about. But as someone that needed Fantilli and it got absolutely bailed out, I could tell you I was looking for him quite often until the very end when he bailed me out. I don't really understand what they're doing. It actually looked like Kent Johnson moved to that top power play over Fantilli during the game. So I would really just proceed with caution on Columbus at all times because they are a mess. They are constantly making changes. And a big part of their mentality is like what they had under Torts of, bench a player, they do a lot of that nonsense. So I would be hesitant to, especially in a larger parlay when you're trying to diminish any level of variance that you can. Putting in Columbus is just adding it inherently. So there you go. DJ's hot take. Columbus is a bit stinky to bet on. Who would have thought?
Who knew, right? Okay, so I think that'll do it.
Top stacks.
Top stacks. Sure.
You want to?
Let's.
I'm
Just
going to
talking main
Ottawa
slate.
1. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah. Screw the early slate. I mean, it's just an absolute clusterfuck. Yeah, I'm going Ottawa 1. Back to the pain train that I believe bent you over on Thursday, took you out back
They did.
and gave you they gave you a spanking, to say the least. I'm willing to go back to it. And I do understand it's expensive. It's a back-to-back Rangers team, but I think everyone's going to kind of glean more than they should on that. So give me, the Brady, Stu, Giroux, and I definitely think Sando's fine there at 4,700. Been incredibly helpful. Much better than the market is giving him credit for, and much better than that price is. So let's do it.
All right. I'm gonna sing some Kumbaya with Jay. I believe he was on the Devils. Give me Heisha, Brat, Timo. I would strongly consider leaving Heisha off in favor of someone like Luke Hughes, or just playing Brat and Timo as a mini stack as well. But I like I like the outlook of the Devils tonight.
Okay, I am going to finish this, and I'm gonna let you make my last selection in this mix though, and that is I'm going Coronado, Kadri, and which of the two defensemen?
Let's go Rasmus.
So the reason I was leaning Rasmus myself is this is not a game where you're going to bet on a box bonus. So what are we betting on here at a 6K defenseman? We're betting on 3 points. So I agree. Rasmus Anderson a bit more prolific in that respect to get there. So I do very much agree.
Okay, and for my other, let's do a Winnipeg stack.
There it is.
Let's do Connor and Nick Ehlers and Josh Morrissey. Just the 3 dudes. If Adam Lowry's there, I will strongly consider like Lowry in DFS. But for now, I think the 3 dudes who we can really rely on, especially with Mark Scheifele, I'm happy to go there. And Gabe Vilardi only helps them, in my opinion. So hopefully there's more goals than the 1 goal that was scored the last time Toronto and Winnipeg played each other.
Hold on, I'm just counting something.
Okay, well, it might take you.
I have 16 teams. Yeah, 16 teams in 3rd place is what I was looking into, and 42 of 150 advancing. So, I mean, I'm optimistic I can increase that number with how many teams are in 3rd. That some of them can get a bump. There's not a, there's going to be weeks straight now of not a ton of play, including the All-Star break, although that is factored in. So 2 weeks are combined together. I don't know if that really is going to make much of a difference. The one thing for me that could get me from a 42 up closer to a 50 for 50 out of 150 advancing would be Ilya Samsonov actually coming back and being really good. He had the shutout. That was a huge help for me because he is my 2nd or 3rd highest owned player. I think third behind Tippett. And he has been a massive, massive miss. I mean, it's hard to blame yourself too much on that. Like, who would have, I think if you started the season and you said, what's the worst case for Ilya Samsonov, it would have been not this bad.
Yeah, that's certainly right. I have 43 advancing and 20 in 3rd place. So
Wow.
Marchessault helped. I have 26% Marchessault. Shea Theodore coming back before the playoffs would be fun. It sounds like he's right on track to be around for like the final week of the fantasy regular season. So hopefully I can get some Shea into the playoffs and continue the smash season, because I'm so sad that my 40% Theodore stand got absolutely nuked by an unfortunate injury. So guarantee goals for tonight.
Yeah. Let's. Okay. This is good. I'm not going to go right back to Coronado again. Let me just pull this up. And okay. Do you have anything? I mean, I did stacks first, so if you have something.
Yeah. Party Marty, Nachas, 4,600, guaranteed goal.
Ooh. Okay. Just main slate, by the way.
Yep.
Is it just main? I'm debating which one of these. I'll go. I want to pick one of the Islanders, and I'm just looking at pricing really quick. But I think I should just probably say Bo Horvat and then just figure it out, right? Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go Bo Horvat. I mean, I have enough money on Wallstrom. I don't need to add him to a mix of garbage. Like, let's be smart about this. Bo Horvat.
All right, and I like Jonathan Marchessault to make it 9 goals in his last 7 games. Dude done a heater. That line's playing very well. We love Nick Waugh. He's very good. So Marchessault keeps it going 6,400 alongside Marty Nachas.
All right. I'll go Pinto. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
Pinto. Yeah. We didn't pick that game, right? For a goal. No, you didn't
Nope.
pick a Ranger. Okay. So yeah, Pinto is plus 300 too for a goal. I mean, and what would be better than Pinto scoring on the power play, which he shot 5 attempts? Oh God, I would just pants are off, folks. Pants are off.
Indeed. Speaking of pants
Okay.
off,
Let me.
it's
Yep.
time to go figure out how the hell to bet on Oliver Wahlstrom goal props on other sites that are not DraftKings because we can't get their props or we can't get a Wahlstrom prop for a goal, I guess, on
It's not
DraftKings.
there. Nope.
So I will go do that.
Yeah.
And
Give me your goals one more time. I just want to add it while I'm actually right
Nachos
on it right now.
and
Nachos and
Nachos Marchessault.
okay, yes. Okay. I feel like you had almost the same thing last time we did this. Was it Nachos though? You had Marchessault last time. He did score.
Oh, okay. Well, my apologies for not being creative, but I guess I just picked the goal scorers.
You don't have a curious mind. Okay, I'll let you go. I'm going to post the goals right now because I will forget, and I'm going to post it right now. So let me get that out there next. I have it all together. And join the group if you want. It's kind of a nightmare, but if you're looking for me by username, join DJ Bets and not Degenerates, because my friend just Tom just texted me and was like, "Yo, what's going on? Are these your friends?" And I was like, "You just don't want to see a bunch of tomfoolery that guys from home are betting. Just it'll be annoying. You don't want to be involved in that." Just I told him to deny everyone. Just because it's just a lot of clownery too. And
that is so funny. You touted it, so go there. If you're just finding us, the Morning Skate Podcast, that's what we do during the week. We will be off for the next week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on contests and whatnot. The slates are very small, with teams heading into their all-star breaks. DJ, how do we make the big logo show up here? I don't know how to do it.
What do you mean? Like, you want this?
Yeah, that. Yeah, just that. The Morning Skate Pod logo. So you can find us on iTunes, on Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts, we are on there. And then if you want to sign up for DraftKings, code THPN, there's, somehow, if you're not on DraftKings, you can use that, help support the show, or sign up for Underdog Fantasy, code MSP, or puckluck.com, also using code MSP. Those are just a couple ways you can help support the show. Thank us for giving you an hour and 45 minutes of our time talking about nonsense. Okay, how do I make this go away now?
Okay, you go to brand. Like, why would you not look at brand where all of this stuff would be?
Because it's a paint palette on whatever we're on, StreamYard. It's a paint palette. I did not think that was where this would be. Okay, anyway, good to know. I'll remember that going forward. Okay, I'll close out.
Okay.
So thank you all for listening. From Doug, from DJ, for myself, have a good number of slates, everybody, and we will see you.